You're about to see 8 icons put under a microscope. We love a good origin story, but are you paying for history or a plate that actually earns its price today? Let's start with the fancy tasting room that changes its menu daily. Then swing to a neon-lit steak lodge with walls of trophies. We'll stack their legends against portion sizes, prep methods, and the tourist tax hiding in plain sight. If you care about value, stay, because the most famous slice, the most famous fry, and the most famous pit smoke plate might not be the smartest buy. You walk in and the walls shout medals and years of smoke. Pitmaster royalty, sure. The tray is what counts. Does that white sauce chicken taste like time in the pit or time on a steam table? Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. Here's the rub. The whole hog myth meets a real line out the door. Volume barbecue means batch smoking early, then hot holding. You pay for the name, the branded bottles, and the weight. Sides often arrive prepped to keep up, and portions lean. The real kicker is what heat lamps do to bark and moisture when turnover spikes. Let's follow the chicken. A raw bird loses a chunk of weight as fat and water render. That yield drop is normal. Add hours of labor trimming and loading, plus hardwood that burns slow and steady. By the time it hits the menu board, the price has to pad labor and wood before profit even starts. Now factor in white sauce. It's cheap to make and high margin. It also masks dryness and salt creep when meat sits. Food service playbooks warn that long hot hold windows drain moisture and soften crust. Best practices cap holding times and rotate pans, but busy weekends push limits. Awards draw crowds, and that demand raises sticker prices even when methods shift to scale. Want value? Slide in off-peak so the bark stays crisp. Skip the sampler, order one meat, sauce on the side. Now let's move on to the opposite of smoke and grit. White tablecloths and a fixed script. Club Paris dims the lights and leans on red leather and lore. You sit down expecting prime beef and a side of Alaska mystique. The real question is what lands on the plate, steak or story. Let's start with price. Classic steakhouses run high food cost targets on beef, then mark up to cover rooms, staff, and waste. In Anchorage, freight stacks on top. That means you pay a premium on a premium before a bite. But the value isn't in size, it's in execution. A thick cut needs a hard sear and an even climbed attempt. Then it needs to rest. Skip that rest and juice bleeds out like opening a shaken soda. Industry norms say independent steakhouses aim for food cost ranges that push margins through sides and sauces. That's why add-ons are everywhere. Creamed spinach, au poivre, crab on top. They pad the ticket, not the quality. The steak matters more. High-heat broilers create flare-ups that char the exterior and leave the center uneven. That scorched crust reads bold, but the inside tells a different story if timing slips. The smart order is a smaller cut, cooked mid-rare, with a proper rest. Ask for simple seasoning, skip the surf and turf, and share sides so the steak stays the focus. You get tenderness, a clean sear, and fewer traps on the bill. From steakhouse nostalgia to a Sonoran flagship that sells heritage as flavor. El Charro Cafe sells you legacy the minute you step in. Same family, long run, chimichangas with their own fan club. On paper, it is a must. The truth is, heritage is a draw, but value lives in how the kitchen moves when the tickets pile up. Let's start with the meat. Slow-braised beef done same day needs hours on low heat, skimming fat, and a cool down that keeps fibers tender. Bulk prep protein is often cooked ahead, held chilled, then reheated to safe temps. That protects safety, not texture. Each reheat tightens strands and pushes out moisture like wringing a sponge. You taste the loss. Now the chimichanga. Frying adds crunch and a rush of salt and fat. It is craveable, but the crust is a mask. Dry filling still tastes dry under a golden shell. Menu engineering knows this. Fried anchors often carry higher margins because oil is cheap, batter is cheap, and you'll pay for that first bite snap. Food service playbooks say reheat to a safe zone and hold hot. That keeps you safe, but long holds soften edges and mute fresh spice. Sauces can fade and turn flat when they sit. You notice it most on big combo plates, where volume trumps care. So aim small. Order house salsas, corn masa plates, or a daily special that turns quick. Pick one focused dish, skip the jumbo combo, and let freshness show. Let's trade chimis for smoke rings and a sauce folks swear by since 1928. Since 1928, McLard's has sold ribs, tamales, and a house sauce that fans treat like a relic. You walk in for smoke, but the shrine is the bottle. The question is simple. Are you tasting pit work or a sugar-first glaze? Let's start with rib style. Sauce-forward racks rely on a sweet, peppery finish that hits fast and loud. Rub-forward ribs lean on spice and smoke, then finish light. Cost-wise, sauce is cheap and predictable. Rubs and longer cook attention cost labor. When the sauce becomes the star, kitchens can drift to par cooking, then finishing on a hot pit or grill. That gloss looks great, but it covers tight fibers and dry edges. Par-cooked ribs lose juice early, then get brushed again and again. Oversaucing builds a sticky shell that tricks your tongue for the first bite. After that, you meet the truth. Ribs also feel light for a reason. Trim off the flap, pull the membrane, cook low and slow, and a big raw rack shrinks hard. You pay for bone, fat, and evaporated water long before the plate hits your table. Pitmasters agree on timing. Glaze late and not too heavy, or you steam the bark and blunt the smoke. Consumer panels keep flagging high sugar and sodium in bottled sauces compared to scratch blends. So the smart move here is control. Ask for sauce on the side. Order a smaller rib plate and add one tamale. You judge the smoke, set the sweetness, and keep the bill sane. And now, the priciest fork in the road. A tasting menu that sells perfection by the course. 3 stars, garden out back. The kitchen hums like a lab. The menu shifts daily. The script stays the same. You pay for a story told course by course, and the plot twist lands with the check. Let's start with what drives that number. Tasting menus pack labor into every bite. A tight brigade on prep, a swarm on the floor, and a pass that plates with tweezers. Staff-to-guest ratios run high because timing beats chaos. Add R&D, dishes tested, refined, scrapped, and you're funding a lot of work you never see. Custom china, bespoke service gear, polished linens. Each piece adds cost before the first amuse hits the table. But here's the kicker. Portion engineering turns micro into mini. 10 small courses feel abundant while keeping waste down. Ingredient cost is real, but the bill skews toward experience. Choreography, the garden tour, the baked-in prestige. High quality, yes. High utility for your wallet? Not so much. Wine pairings push the tab faster than the kitchen does. That's margin gold. A tight pour list, glassware, a sommelier's time. It all stacks. The food is the headline. The overhead writes the price. You want the craft without the full burn. Book lunch if they offer it. Aim for weekdays. Skip the pairing and order a single glass. Or hit a sister spot that borrows standards and drops the theater. From white gloves to taxidermy, the frontier sells a different kind of legend. Mounted heads line the walls like a warning label. The Buckhorn Exchange hands you a menu packed with elk, bison, and the occasional rattlesnake. You came for a frontier tale you can chew. The truth is, the story sells itself. The plate still has to earn it. Let's start with lean game. Bison and elk carry less fat than beef, which means a narrow window between perfect and dry. Push past that target temp and the fibers clamp down. You pay top dollar for meat that chews like a leather strap. A hard sear without a rest makes it worse. The juice runs, the slice dulls, and you're left chasing sauce. Now the novelties. Fried rattlesnake, sampler trays, photo bait appetizers. They look great on a feed, but they rarely deliver flavor for the price. Most are breading, fryer oil, and a brag. The real kicker is sourcing and handling rules on game that raise costs before the grill is even hot. That multiplier lands on your check whether the cook hits the mark or not. Chefs who work lean meats push lower internal temps, a short rest, and a marinade or fat-based base to keep moisture in. If you want value here, order ground or braised. Bison burgers hold juice with added fat. Elk stews soften tough cuts and carry spice. Skip the novelty platter and put your money on one well-executed main. From antlers to ash-blistered pies, the line out the door is next. Coal fire, a blistered rim, and that white clam pie that sends fans up I-95. Frank Pepe Pizzeria Napolitana sells a simple promise. Salt air on a crust, char that snaps, and clams that taste like the dock. The line says legend. The bite has to prove it. Here's the tension. Icon scale. Outposts open. The queue grows. When volume spikes. Dough-proofing windows tighten, and oven doors never rest. Coal burns hot, but swings. A few seconds too long on a crowded deck, and toppings scorch while the center sags. Add a heavy clam load and extra liquid pools. If the peel man hesitates, the middle steams and goes limp. Let's talk dough. Hydration and time to side chew and spring. Rushed turns mean underproofed balls that fight the stretch and bake up dense. Overproofed dough collapses, loses gas, and won't lift at the edge. Bake curves matter with coal, radiant heat, floor temp, and rotation. Shops that keep oven logs and drilled training hold the line. Slip on either and consistency slides, especially at satellite stores running fast with fresh crews. So test the bake. Order a simpler pie, light toppings, wide spacing. Ask for well done if you want the classic char. One medium split between two gives you structure and snap without the sog that sinks a loaded large. Now let's move on to something even simpler and somehow just as pricey. Thrashers is a boardwalk ritual. No ketchup, just malt vinegar and a paper tub that drips down your wrist. The line snakes past the arcade, and the fryer hiss says worth it. The question is what you're really buying, the fry or the breeze. Let's start with the math. A pound of potatoes is cheap. The tub is not. The gap is where rent, oil, and labor live. Beachfront leases climb with the season, and short-term crews cost more per hour because turnover is constant. That seasonal spike slides straight into the price of a bucket. Crisp needs a double fry and clean oil. First pass cooks the potato through. The second sets the shell. That works when the oil stays fresh and hot. If turnover slows or filters slip, crumbs burn, oil darkens, and the fries drink it up. You taste stale before you taste salt. Quick service playbooks push frequent oil changes and steady batches for a reason. Temperature drops mean limp centers and greasy outsides. Tourist zones stack markups beyond ingredients. You pay for foot traffic, storage constraints, and the premium of serving at the edge of the ocean. The fries haven't changed. The math has. Best value? Share a bucket during off-peak, when the oil just turned and the line moves at a steady clip. Skip add-ons. If you want that salt and vinegar hit, you can nail it at home for a fraction. That's 8 icons, 8 stories. Let's talk about what to do with all this. Icons cash in on story first, history, location, the name on the sign. The food earns its keep only when timing and ordering work in your favor. The real kicker is knowing which parts are stage lights and which are the kitchen. So what is the takeaway for you? Go off peak, order tight, keep sauces on the side, and skip the stun items. You keep flavor and cut fluff. If this gave you something to chew on, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone planning a road trip. Tell us which must-try spot actually earned its price. We'll keep testing the myths so your money works.